Hi, everyone. Welcome to the October coaches meeting. The agenda is linked in the chat. If you haven't found that yet, it should be pinned. You can go ahead and register your attendance just so we know who's here. Should be a pretty quick one tonight. So, follow up from last meeting, we had the September coaches meeting where we talked about varsity schedules and the extended registration deadline and all that fun stuff. Remember, there are those LeagueOS walkthrough videos if you need help navigating LeagueOS. We're continually updating those as more and more features come online. Um, Broad strokes again is the dashboard at app.leagueos.gg is where most of the functionality we're looking for is now. The exception to that are some things like chess and Tetris matches. Those are not currently being generated on the new dashboard, so you'll have to go to the old league site for that. But pretty much everything else is good to go on the new dashboard at app.leagueos.gg. The V2 preview, which you can access from our main page, is predominantly for stat tracking and public-facing sorts of standings and statistics, not really for you as a coach to interact with LeagueOS on a daily basis. That should be done via comms or the dashboard. We talked about match expectations, the LandFest and Zotac stream matches that are going on. So make sure you pay attention to those match titles and match chats and see if your upcoming match is being streamed and what that means for you all. And then we talked about some upcoming events, which is where we're leading into with this meeting. So this Friday here in Fort Wayne is FortLAN, which is the Indiana chapter of LandFest, the national nonprofit that helps us with some of our match streams. We're holding a Marvel Rivals tournament at FortLAN on Friday from about 4 to 9. If you have a Marvel Rivals team that you'd like to attend, a spot open that we really would like to fill for the tournament. So go ahead and let me know if you're interested in that. It is free for you and your students. You get into FortLAN for free. We're going to try to play, I believe, a guarantee of 5 matches that night. So you should have a good time with your students. If you are interested, please let me know and we can make that happen. After this week, the next big event is HECC, which is the Hoosier Educational Computer Coordinators Convention in downtown Indy. We have quite the showcase panning out for that. Some of you are involved in bringing your students during the school day to play at HECC. It's going to be a great time. If you or your school is going to be there, tell them to stop by our booth, which is booth 187, or by Conrail Station to see our showcase for that event. If you know maybe neighboring schools around you in your district or in your area who are not doing esports yet, but want to see what it's about, this is a great event for them to come and see actual esports competitions in person, get a chance to attend some of our sessions, meet some of our partners. So make sure you share that information with those around you in your communities as well. Kind of the biggest event this semester is probably going to be IEN Winter Finals. So historically, we have only had one finals event, and that was in spring. That kind of meant the middle schoolers for fall titles never got an in-person championship experience, and we're going to change that. So on December 13th is the IEN Winter Finals event at Trine University. We have a final schedule here that you can see. It is posted, and I am sharing the wrong tab. But it's posted there. So you can see the tentative but most likely schedule for events that day. So, reminder, high school championships are in the spring after the year-long competition for fall and spring split. But middle school championships are every semester. So every middle school title will be crowning champions for live in person on December 13th at Trine. The exception for that is Tetris. We'll bring actual semifinals and finals. So those top 8 will be competing at IEN Winter Finals at Trine. Something that's really important for middle school coaches to realize, varsity middle school coaches, is this playoff schedule butts up really closely to that IEN Finals on 12/13. So what that means is, if you have a varsity team that you think even might qualify, start those preparations early. Travel preparations, getting it cleared by your admin, and figuring out transportation, so that if you do qualify, then it's easy for you to step into that spot and attend. What we don't want is you waiting until you see if you qualify and then beginning to make preparations. Make preparations assuming the best, and if you win, then you easily get to step into them. If not, then it's easier to cancel things than it is to last minute plan them. So please take a look at that calendar. We realize that there's not much time between when playoffs are ending and when finals are occurring. So that's why we want you to start those plans early. We will try to, as possible, get those matches played early, especially for Mario Kart. So there's Mario Kart on the 11th for finals, for quarter semifinals, and then IEN Winter Finals will be on the 13th, Saturday. That's really, really close. So we're going to try to reschedule those Mario Kart matches for early after the previous round is completed. This only affects middle school varsity coaches. If you guys have questions, make sure you reach out. If you see immense problems, let us know, and we will try to figure out playoffs in a timely fashion to make sure. But we are requiring competition in person at Trine University for middle school finals December 13th. Reach out if you have questions, and we'll be happy to discuss. Nintendo codes. So, this is something that you've heard about from us and from social media with Nintendo and the ISCA agreement. What's linked is the request form. And that request form is going to be how you're going to request access to the codes that Nintendo has graciously provided for us. We, as IEN, have an allotment of Nintendo Online codes, good for 1 year access. We have Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and eventually Splatoon licenses for the games themselves that you'll be able to request. We're also getting DLC licenses for those games as well. Notice the future tense on that last bit. So the DLC codes for Mario Kart and for Super Smash Bros. Are delayed. We expect them soon, but you can go ahead and fill out that request form. And what we'll do then is we'll go through and we'll get you those access codes as requested, with a few important caveats that are spelled out quite a few times on that form. One, these can only be used on school-owned devices. This is a big one. Nintendo donated these codes for us to distribute to schools for school-owned and sanctioned devices. These are not, hey, I'd like to own Mario Kart on my personal Switch. These need to be on devices that your school owns and uses for competition. Also on school accounts. So these are the accounts that you're using for competitions. Again, these are not extras. Hey, this kid really needs this. So the other addition is we need these codes to be used, and we need them to be used fairly quickly once you request them. So do not request these codes until you are going to be ready to redeem them. Meaning you have your Nintendo account set up, you've got approval for all of this, you're ready to go. We have some rolling deadlines for this, so if you're not ready for that at the moment, that's fine. You can wait. But please don't request any of those codes until you're actually ready to use them. Nintendo is going to be tracking usage. ISEA is going to be tracking usage on a state-by-state basis. We have access to a limited number, but if we can show that we've used all of them, and we've used them quickly, then we can request more and take some from the states that aren't doing as well in that arena. So it's going to be helpful for all of us if you make sure you request only the ones you need, and if you make sure you do not request them until you're actively ready to use them. But as long as those two things are true, you can fill out that request form. Again, there's information there, just making sure you understand what you're agreeing to with this and how this impacts not just the entire state, but nationally, the Scholastic esports space and our agreement with Nintendo. So Nintendo will be tracking, like I said, those activations. They'll see what devices they're activated on and all of that. So we want to make sure that we are fully ready for that responsibility before we request those codes. If you have questions about that, let us know, and we can answer those as well. Discord. So make sure that you have the correct roles on Discord. What we've done is we've gone through and kind of restructured the way Discord is organized. It used to be you could see a lot more without having the correct role selected. But what we really want to do is clean it up for those users who might not want all the clutter. This is in addition to those changes Discord made around community servers and browse channels and there were a lot of issues where even if you had the right role, you couldn't see the right things. So we made some changes, which means if you don't see a Mario Kart channel, for instance, there's a whole category for Mario Kart. If you can't see it, it's because you don't have the Mario Kart coach role. Make sure you go into the role selection channel on Discord and choose the appropriate roles. You can do that yourself, and you can do that whenever you like. If you just want to peek in to the Minecraft channels and see what's going on, even though you don't coach Minecraft, you can do that. And then you can decide, nope, I really didn't want to do that, and unroll yourself and have those categories hidden again. But make sure that you are responsible for that. We try to make announcements on Discord as granularly as possible, meaning if we have a Minecraft announcement, we're only going to tag Minecraft coaches. So if you're not seeing some things on Discord that you feel like maybe you should be, it's because you need to check your roles and make sure you have the correct ones assigned. The newsletter role is also important on Discord. If you want to make sure you get notified when we post a newsletter, make sure you have the newsletter role because that's the role we tag for that as well. Perhaps the most important role to have is if you are the head coach at your school, have the school director's role. Sometimes we need to send out important information just for that in-charge person at your school, and we use the school director's role to do that. Also, there are level roles for high school, middle school, and unified. So check that out. I made a Discord how-to video, which is on YouTube as well. So if you have questions, you can take a look at that and see, or just let us know, and we're happy to help. What do you do if something goes wrong? So we've had a few instances recently where people are like, I just don't know what to do. Yeah, really reach out however you need, and we're going to be as helpful as we can. But probably in order of importance, I would suppose, if you have an issue, opening a ticket on the Discord server is the easiest way for all of us to get eyes on it, and for us to track and not let it fall through the cracks. If you send me a DM, I'm probably going to respond, and it's probably going to be fine. But I'm the only one that will see that. And if I forget, then it's just gone. It falls through the cracks. The ticketing system in Discord lets all of us on the board see it. It lets us assign members to who needs to take care of it, and it lets us track when it's completed. So that is the easiest way for us to make sure that we don't lose or misplace someone that needs help. I know some of you, Discord is hard to access while you're at school. That's fine. You can also send an email to ienboard@isen.info. That again goes to all of us. That helps us keep track of who's doing what, and if one of us can't respond, the others can. Also, there's an infraction report that's linked there in the agenda. This is for things that don't necessarily require immediate attention, but you want us to be aware of in terms of a match issue. Maybe you were playing Smash Brothers and there was a lot of lag, so you're like not quite sure the other school really had a hardwired connection at the varsity level. Maybe there were just some general server issues. Maybe, and again, this happened, it's one of my favorite examples. Maybe lightning struck your school building and it fried the network equipment, and then you're not quite sure what to do. You should probably send us a ticket so we can address it earlier, but an infraction report. Maybe this is a student behavior issue. Maybe you want to raise concerns about the way the players interacted with each other, or maybe there was unsportsmanlike conduct. Any of those things can be filed in the infraction report. Again, this gives us a record. It lets us follow through in the future. It lets us look for repeated offenders. It's a great place to document all those things. So if you would like to file an infraction report, please use that link to do so. It's also, I believe, pinned in the Discord. If not, we will check that out. But if all else fails, and you send me a DM because, stuff is hitting the fan and you really need some help, I'm still going to take care of that too. But these other ways are preferred. Some people have even called some of us on the board in, dire situations. I don't think any of you have my phone number, so good luck with that. What IEN is. So we've been having some conversations as a board of, I don't want to say like an existential conversation necessarily, but trying to decide who exactly we should be, what exactly we should do, and evaluate what it is we're doing. Because I think just going through the motions without evaluating is how we get stagnant and how we get lost in terms of who we should be and who we should be serving, which is schools and students. So a reminder that IEN is us. We are educators just like you. There's not some big conglomerate behind us. There's not a big national group that's pulling strings. There's not even companies that give us money to tell us what to do because trust us, we don't have very much money, right? IEN is just us. We take time out of our days to do what we do for you all. We like doing it. It's great. Some days we wonder how sustainable it is because it's a lot of time and it's a lot of effort, and the entirety of IEN leadership is volunteer. Right? We charge schools $100 for varsity, and that all goes back into everything you see IEN do. So what we're trying to evaluate is, what does IEN look like even next year? What does IEN look like 5 years from now? What does IEN look like when none of us on the current board are here anymore? Because we gave up. We need a break. So we're having that conversation on, what does it look like to be a governing body of esports in Indiana, like IHSAA, but in addition, scheduling all of the matches and being, on the ground support for everything that happens and leading these coaches meetings and providing professional learning opportunities and tech troubleshooting and all these other things we do. We're trying to figure out, how do we best support you all? How do we continue to grow and offer the opportunity to more students and schools? But how do we make sure that this is sustainable over the course of decades and not just a few years while we're all here? Um, to that end, one of the things we want to hear from is all of you about, what do you wish IEN were doing? What do you wish we weren't? Suggestions about what you would like to see IEN look like in the future. So that IEN comment box link is a Google form. It is always open. We get emails whenever things are submitted. Uh, and we might not respond necessarily. You don't even have to leave your email for a response. It can be anonymous. But we do evaluate those things and take a look, because we don't want to get set in, well, this is the way we have done things, so let's keep doing them. Maybe it doesn't make sense anymore. Maybe it never really made sense and we just thought it did. So we're not saying we have the answers, and we're not saying that this is the way we're going to do things. We want all of your input, and we want to evaluate, how do we make scholastic esports in Indiana the best it can be, and how do we continue to support schools and students along the way. So that comment box, like I said, is always open for your comments that we always take a look at. In terms of helping IEN, there's always lots of ways. We're always looking for people to step into the role of like title runners and kind of adopting a game and running that. We're looking for, specifically right now, some testimonials. We can talk about IEN and what it is, and Nick and I do that a lot when we go to conferences, and people get tired of listening to us, which is why at HECC this year we're going to actually show them students playing esports. But it would be nice to have testimonials from you all, from your schools, either from you as coaches, from students who are in your programs, from parents of players who are in your programs, maybe from your admins, about what they've seen esports do at your school, and specifically how we've been able to help with that. The hope and the idea is that people might not care that IEN, whoever these random people are, say this about themselves, but they might care that, Nick from Portage says this is what IEN has done for our kids. Because they might know Portage and what those kids, are experiencing and how it applies to their school. So if you just want to fill that out, there's a link there. We're going to include some of that information in our HECC presentations and material, because we do think that IEN represents the best opportunity for esports for schools in Indiana, and we want more schools to be able to experience it. But part of that is telling them that we exist and letting them know that they can be a part of it as well. There's also the support IEN link there. That goes to the website page. On the website page, there's lots of ways you can support IEN, even at no cost to you. There's, Twitch Prime subscriptions. You can do the Kroger program, the Walmart Roundup program. There's lots of information there that you can see for yourselves and even share with others if you don't mind. That brings in a little bit of money for us every year, and that helps out in terms of overhead expenses like the website and materials and all of those sorts of things. So easy ways that even at no cost to you, you can help support IEN. That is the end of the agenda, believe it or not. The biggest things from this meeting are those upcoming events, so make sure you take a look at those. The Nintendo codes is obviously big on everyone's minds because we know we want to get those out as soon as possible. So if you are ready for those, go ahead and fill out that request form. We're probably going to do batches about once a week where we request those codes and then are able to distribute them. My hope is to get a batch out either Friday or next Monday for those of you that are waiting for those codes for competitions next week. So we should be able to do that before Nintendo titles play next week. And then probably every week from there on out, we'll do a batch. Again, Discord, make sure you've got all that sorted out so you can see announcements. Let us know if something goes wrong and how we can help. And then just in general, be thinking about how you want IEN to change and evolve and adapt for the future, and how you can be involved in doing that. So at that, I haven't been watching chat. So let's go through chat and see if there are questions for everyone. FortLAN, if I did correctly, you will play at least 5 matches. Yes, Nick, that is the plan. It was scheduled for at least 6 matches when we definitely had 4 teams. I believe we can still get at least 5 matches even if we only have 3 teams. If you already bought Mario Kart, do we request DLCs? Yep, yeah. If you already have the games and you don't need to request the game titles themselves, do not do that. If you need extra copies of game titles, because maybe you really would like to run a Mario Kart club team, you just didn't have those games, you can request copies of those games as well. But please just request what you need for your schools. For that question, what time should students arrive by? Yep, other members can go. That's fine. That should be fine. Nick, just make sure that you have those permission forms for everyone that I emailed out to you. I would say arrival between 4 and 4:30. We'll get some warm-up time. The Indiana Cybersecurity Council is going to give a little presentation about opportunities for students, and then hopefully we'll be able to start matches at 5 or shortly after. Any other questions for the good of everyone, if you want to drop in chat real quick before we end the official meeting and the recording? Which Nintendo side do you currently have? Is your team currently waiting to start club matches immediately if we get the game? Yeah, Zach, that's fine. Because we're just assuming that you will have teams for them in spring for, or even maybe we can get you registered for club yet this semester. So that's fine. Yeah, you can check that. Anything else? All right. Well, again, thank you everyone for attending. The one thing I always want you to walk away from coaches meetings is let us know how we can help. I know I say that a lot, but we are here to do whatever we can to help out. So if you need anything, don't suffer in silence. Reach out and ask, and we will do everything we can. Matches start again next week after these 2 weeks of fall break. So make sure that you're looking at those schedules for varsity titles or you're ready for club. Some of you have been playing club matches because the queue system has been going. We just haven't been monitoring it. So hopefully it's been going well. And then be on the lookout for more announcements as we get closer to Winter Finals. Even high schools can be involved in that Winter Finals event. There is a forum that in the agenda from last month about showcase matches, and if you want to be participating in those, you can register and sign up to volunteer to be in a high school showcase match at middle school state finals in winter. So at that, I'm going to stop rambling. Thank you all for attending. We'll see you next month for a meeting.